it's also my pleasure to introduce Swati Ashok, Executive Committee Member of the Association of Indian Communists.
Thank you, Chair, and dear comrades and friends. So, on this 76th Foundation event of the People's Republic of China, I am honored to be here today with you all and bring greetings from the Association of Indian Communists, the overseas wing of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. As someone who was born and raised in a neighboring country of China, it is with immense pride and joy that I join you to celebrate a victory that continues to inspire working people, still continues to inspire the working people across the world. As we all know, the Chinese Revolution of 1949 was more than a change of government. It showed that the oppressed can rise, organize, and shape their own future. Dear friends, it feels like a poetic justice that today we gather here in London, the heart of the old colonial empire, to celebrate the resilience of a nation that defied colonialism and imperialism. As someone else mentioned, from the Opium Wars to the century of humiliation, Western powers tried to break China, and even today they continue to do so. Yet China stands unbroken, emerging as a beacon of sovereignty and socialist development. As everyone else mentioned today, the China's development path was never smooth. After centuries of wars and invasion, it had to feed and educate hundreds of millions. But the scale of transformation the country has achieved in this short span of 76 years is undeniable, not only in terms of economic growth, but in advances in health, education, and social equality. For those of us who struggle for an equitable and just social order, these are not abstract statistics. They are living proof that a society that led by workers and peasants can plan, build, and rise without bowing to the dictates of imperial powers. From the earliest days onwards, progressive movements in India looked to the Chinese people's bravery with admiration and with a sense of kinship. Even before the People's Republic was proclaimed, there were bonds of solidarity. During the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, an Indian doctor, Dwaraganath Kotnis, he traveled to China with a team of Indian physicians to serve the wounded. Dr. Kotnis is still remembered in China with deep affection and as a symbol of internationalist fraternity. Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate and India's national poet, gave another expression to this friendship. When he first set his foot in China in 1924, he noted with emotion that I do not know why coming to China seems to me like returning to my native soil. After India's independence from the British colonial rule, India's Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru sought to nurture this fraternity. Together with Comrade Zhou Enlai, he gave the world the Panchashil principles of peaceful coexistence. The popular slogan in the 1950s of Hindi Chaini Bhai Bhai, which means India and China are brothers, captured the spirit of that time when two ancient civilizations emerging from colonial rule envisioned a future of cooperation and non-alignment. That vision of fraternity is even more relevant today, as we are facing new threats from Western powers, especially US imperialism, through tariff wars and policies designed to weaken and divide the global South. This is a time that calls for unity among the nations of the global South to resist such authoritarian impositions. As two countries that jointly represent more than one-third of the world's population, India and China together should be able to lead such a solidarity. Sadly, the present right-wing government in India under Narendra Modi, they does not recognize this imperative need. Instead, the government chooses to subjugate our country, India, to the dictates of Trump and Washington. As we have heard several times today, China's own path shows that power need not be built on threats and conquest. Unlike the old imperialist forces that grew rich through centuries of war and plunder, China has risen to global prominence without invading others and without building a network of military bases. Its strength comes from the commitment of its people, its inclusive development trajectory, advancement in science and technology, and lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty. Dear friends, now let me share a very personal note. I come from Kerala, a southernmost state in India, where a communist government came to power through ballot for the first time in the history. I grew up in a tradition where in many homes, the photograph of Chairman Mao still hangs on the wall, not as a decoration, but as a reminder that ordinary people can make history. Like China achieved development success when compared to other countries in a similar stage, Kerala's record stands far higher than most Indian states and is even comparable to many economically advanced nations. I am proud to say that Kerala's achievements, marked by universal literacy, strong public health systems, decentralized planning, and eradication of extreme poverty, were shaped in part by lessons we learned from China. We can draw many parallels between the Chinese model and the Kerala model. Just as China created an alternative development path in a world dominated by neoliberalism and finance capital, Kerala has opened its own path within the constraints of federalism and bourgeois democracy. The success stories of both China and Kerala prove a very fundamental socialist principle, that even under every challenge, it is possible to put human needs before private profit. Comrades, the world today is threatened by wars and aggression carried out by imperial forces, by unjustifiable trade wars, by the rise of the far right, and by the re-emergence of racism and anti-immigrant sentiments. We are facing cost of living crisis, climate injustices, and deep economic instability. In such a moment, forging unity among the working class, the oppressed, and all those who face imperial aggression and exploitation is a necessity for peace and human survival. We must resist the propaganda that demonizes China, we must speak clearly for Palestine, and we must stand with Cuba. Also, we must defend the right of every nation to choose its own path of development without coercion. As Comrade already mentioned here, we should also remember that independence of one socialist country is not enough in a world where imperialism seeks to divide, dominate, and exploit. The liberation of the working class in India and in the UK is bound up with the liberation of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So let us build a world where working people everywhere enjoy dignity, equality, and peace. Let us carry forward the banner of socialism with courage, unity, discipline, and hope. And I believe China, with its rich experience, will support and lead the awakening of the working class across the globe. We salute all who sacrificed for the Chinese Revolution and all who continue the work of building a socialist society. On behalf of the Indian working class and peasantry, the Association of Indian Communists extend our hands in friendship and in struggle to all who strive for a fairer, just and peaceful world. The people united shall never be defeated. Solidarity and revolutionary creativity.
Thank you so much, Ashwati. I do hope that we are seeing the beginnings of Indian-China brotherhood again as part of a family of the wider humanity.